If you have not heard about this, Hakeem Jeffries, and he's not the only one, has been promoting the next, or who he feels should be the next chief judge of New York. And there is a problem with this judge. Now, I want to get into that in just a second, but I also want to show you who else is promoting this judge, and that is Kathy Hochul, who is the governor of New York. Now, recently, she attended an event at a church in New York, and there were people there, some of the supporters there, some of the residents there are speaking out against it. They do not want her to support or give her support for LaSalle. And LaSalle is the one who is being promoted by her and by Hakeem Jeffries. Let's get into this. Watch the extremes that Kathy Hochul goes to. Now, this comes from Jeffrey. He says, using the cops to pull a black lady out of her own church for being disruptive. Now, let's go ahead and show this. So again, she is speaking at a church on Martin Luther King Day, and this young woman here is here to let Kathy Hochul know that she does not agree with someone like LaSalle being propped up here for chief judge. Listen to this.
I pray that you listen to parents, and I pray that you control, that you listen to.
So first of all, why are the police there? Why does she have the police? Watch this. So you can't speak out?
Parents, and I pray that you control that.
So you have to have the police make her leave. She stood up. She's not being violent. Did she throw anything at Kathy Hochul? No, she has not. She stood up to disagree with Kathy Hochul. And here come the police. Also, why do you need 4 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4.
We need good conservation, Governor. I pray for you. Stand with working class.
Ridiculous. Okay, so that's one clip there. Now, Jeremy goes on to say politicians use churches to push themselves, but this was so crass and blatant. Hochul barely even talked about MLK before switching to promoting LaSalle's nomination and twisting MLK's words to justify a moderate who literally thought racial bias in jury selection was totally fine. So there are a number of problems with LaSalle. I'm going to get into more specifics when I get into the article. There are a number of problems. It's not just the fact that he's anti-choice. There are other issues about him as well. But this is who Kathy has selected here. So listen to how she changes the rhetoric. Again, this is supposed to be about MLK. That's what this is supposed to be about.
My own parents were criticized for being so far left in the conservative area, but that's how I was raised. So I need you to know that about me. The values that I bring to the selection process, and how I compliment the person named Hector LaSalle, who, yes, he'll make history, and it's about time we stop making history. It should never have taken this long for a person of color.
There we go with identity politics. We need to make history. It should have never taken this long for a person of color. Never mind the fact that he's anti-choice. Never mind the fact that he's anti-union. And apparently he doesn't have any problems with racial discrimination in reference to jury selection processes. All that matters to Kathy Hochul is the fact that you go ahead and put him in anyway because of the identity politics. because we need to have someone who's a person of color. It doesn't really matter what their views are. It doesn't really matter what they believe. We just need the image there. Terrible.
Hispanic to lead the highest court in our state. My own parents
All right.
were criticized for being so far left.
And it's so interesting too, because there's not many people here, obviously. So Jeremy goes on to say, Hochul even went to the low of talking about dissent to LaSalle as if it was basically all lies, when opposition has been based on clear cases that trigger huge concerns about his judgment and ideology. So this is a quick one here as well. You see how they run cover for each other?
Take another look. Listen to the man. Don't judge him.
What?
You understand?
She said, listen to the man, don't judge him. No, you should judge all of them. Do you see how dangerous this rhetoric is now? Don't judge him. Just put him in. He's a person of color. Listen to him. Don't judge him. Don't disagree with him. This is how far they're going.
Open-minded. In all those ways that we want to be treated. Not taught that much. Do it to others and have them do it to you. Who else wants to sit there and be judged and have their name reduced to lies? We see that.
So she's now saying the things that people are saying about LaSalle are lies, but they're not lies.
Lies travel around the world 4 times faster. Around the plane, gas plane around the earth, before the truth has a chance to leave the target. That's what's happened here. The lies have circulated before the truth.
People voted for this woman. Like, seriously, she's like, that's what's happened here. The lies have circulated. What made people, if you're listening, if you're watching and you live in New York, please tell me what made you vote for her. I'm curious. I gotta know. You gotta let me know. Now, let's go on, because it's not just that particular situation. Other people are not happy about this as well, including a gentleman here who is a part of the union. Now, this comes from Zach Williams and said, wow, this union guy is PO'd about Hector LaSalle nomination, and Hochul for making it so soon after wanting union help to beat Zeldin. Listen to what the union gentleman here says about how he feels about supporting Hochul and what he wish he could do differently. Listen to this.
Good morning. Good morning. I don't have much more prepared to say. 3 weeks ago, I was Team Hochul. For the last year, I was Team Hochul. When we needed people to get out to vote, I was Team Hochul.
Come on.
When she was worried that she was going to lose this race for governor, I was Team Hochul.
Come on.
The phone rang, and the phone rang, and the phone rang. We need more money. We need more volunteers. We need labor behind us.
Come on.
She promised us that we were going to have a seat at the table.
Yes, she did.
She put us on the menu. This is not right. Good morning.
So once again, another politician who has lied. So he's not too happy about this. Other people aren't happy about it either. But it's not just Governor Hochul. It's also Hakeem Jeffries. Now, I expect this type of behavior from him. Some people are freaking out, but he's also supporting LaSalle as well. Listen to this. This is crazy shit. I'm going to tell you about this guy. So Jordan Zacharin tweeted this. Hakeem Jeffries is urging Democrats to confirm an anti-choice, anti-union Republican judge to be Chief Justice of the state's highest court, a court that just cost Democrats 4 seats and a likely majority in Congress. The worst part, it is not a surprise. And he has the link here. He shared this from Joseph Spector, saying Judge Hector LaSalle is highly qualified to be the chief judge of the state of New York, period, full stop. That statement is coming from Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries is one of those politicians, as someone like Cornel West will say, black faces in high places. Not really for us, not really about us. He's just there to give the impression that he's going to do something for black people. He's going to do something for working class people because he's a Democrat, but he's actually just as establishment and corrupt as they come. Now, you tell me, if you have this guy, Hector LaSalle, and he's anti-choice, and Democrats were begging people to come out and vote in the midterms so that they could codify Roe v. Wade into law, which still hasn't happened, by the way. How can you so boldly ignore the fact that this guy who you want to promote, who you are supporting, is anti-choice? Make it make sense. After all those young people came out to support in the midterms. And by the way, had it not been for the young voter turnout, the Democratic Party would have lost. They would have lost more than just losing the House. You see what I'm saying? But here's Hakeem Jeffries thinking that this is a great idea. Someone like him, he is going to be dangerous because, see, again, he also was propped up by using identity politics. Now, listen to this. This is from Common Dreams. Disgracing himself, Hakeem Jeffries stumps for anti-abortion judge. Let's get into it. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries joined New York Governor Kathy Hochul and other state Democrats at a Bronx rally on Saturday, just days ahead of what is sure to be a contentious confirmation hearing in which progressive lawmakers opposed to LaSalle's appointment to lead the state court of appeals could be decided. Progressives charge that Hector D. LaSalle is too conservative, anti-abortion, anti-labor, and anti-due process, and his appointment would push one of New York's highest courts even further to the right. Now, after what just happened with the rail workers, why would you want to promote someone who's anti-labor? After what just happened with the overturn of Roe v. Wade, why would you want to appoint someone or promote someone who's anti-choice? And this is why I say, can the Democratic Party still go around and say, hey, we're pro-choice? Can they still say that? After Henry Cuellar, can they say that? After Tim Kaine, can they say that? After Hector LaSalle, can they still say that? After Hakeem Jeffries and Kathy Hochul supporting people who are anti-choice, can they still say that? Let's go on. Jeffries, however, voiced his support for the judge, saying LaSalle is highly qualified to serve as the chief judge. Period. Full stop. Jeffries urged an up or down vote by the full state Senate. It's important for the entire New York State Senate to treat this nomination with the same dignity, decency, and respect that every other nomination has received. In December, the Democratic governor announced that she'd chosen the conservative judge as the next Chief Justice of the State Court of Appeals. Judge LaSalle is currently the presiding justice of the appellate division in Brooklyn. The nomination was described as mystifying and horrible news by legal experts, including public defender Eliza Lawrence, who pointed to LaSalle's record on abortion and labor rights as reasons that he was potentially the worst of the 7 nominees the governor chose between. Did you hear what she just said? He was the worst of the 7 nominees that the governor chose between. And that's who they nominated. What's this really about? Why would they pick the worst candidate? Let's go on. The State Senate Judiciary Committee will hold a confirmation hearing on Wednesday. Progressive lawmakers are working to let the nomination die in committee without advancing it to a full Senate vote. At least 14 Democratic senators have indicated they oppose his selection. The confirmation fight pits the moderate Hochul against the party's progressives. Progressives and labor leaders see the pick as a betrayal after many within their ranks worked to deliver vital last-minute votes to Hochul during the final frantic days of last year's election. Some reluctant allies are regretting their decision. You see what I was telling you about once these people win? Once these people get in? You see what I was saying? Help me, I need your vote. You need me to win. I'm going to stand by you. I'm going to help the workers. And then once they get in, you see how they just turn. The tide just changes. She promised stuff that we would have a seat at the table. Now, that is the gentleman that you saw in the previous video clip, Jimmy. Now, Jimmy is the president of the statewide Iron Workers Union. She put us on the menu. This is not right. The way it was rolled out, it was so unprofessional and backstabbing. Democratic leadership in the state Senate warned the newly elected governor in early December that there would be fierce opposition to a LaSalle nomination. This is what Common Dreams reported last month. LaSalle is currently the presiding justice of the New York Supreme Court's second judicial department. And as Alexander Salmon and Mark Joseph Stern wrote at Slate, his record is an intermediate appeals court judge, demonstrates a deep hostility to the very values that Hochul claimed she wanted to uphold with his appointment. We are seeing a recurring trend here, right? Of these Democrat politicians saying that they want to uphold certain rights, and only to see them in the end go against those rights or to prop up people that are definitely against those rights. Isn't this a recurring theme that we've seen? That's happened with the squad. In 2017, LaSalle ruled that a so-called crisis pregnancy center where people are pressured into carrying unwanted pregnancies instead of obtaining abortion care should be shielded from the state attorney general's investigation into whether the facility, whoopsie, where did I go? Oh, here we go. Into whether the facility, where did we go? Into whether the facility was practicing medicine without a license. The judge invoked the First Amendment when he ruled that advertisements and promotional literature, brochures, and pamphlets that the center provided or disseminated to the public should not be investigated. He also joined other judges in 2015 in handing down a shocking opinion. Salmon and Stern wrote that allowed Cablevision to sue union leaders for criticizing the company's response to Hurricane Sandy, and ruled in 2014 that a criminal defendant should be blocked from appealing his conviction after the defendant claimed he'd been subjected to an illegal search. This is the guy, you know what you got here? What did we ask for? We asked for progressive policies. We asked for people to go into the house that we're going to fight. Instead, what we ended up with are these milquetoast, neoliberal, pro-police shills who want to keep funding and give more money to the police, who support anti-abortion candidates, who back the state of Israel and, look down their nose at BDS, the Palestinian-led movement, and then the cherry on top, they add a black face to it. So all those things I just mentioned to you are easily ignored by a lot of the populace because all they see is the face. Most people are not going to look as far as we do. Most people are not going to look at someone's record. Most people just see the face and the image, and they vote for them based off of feeling. I like this person because they make me feel good. I'm going to vote for this person because they look the same way that I do. We have the same skin color. Identity politics. Not having any idea what these people are really about half the time. That's what we have in the House. That's what we have. It goes on to say, although Hochul claimed she was planning to nominate a chief justice who would help defend against the U.S. Supreme Court's rapid retreat from precedent and continue our march towards progress, if LaSalle is confirmed by the state Senate to a 14-year term, he would entrench a reactionary majority that would fight tooth and nail against the priorities of New York progressives. Now that comes from Salmon and Stern. This is just crazy. You just have just a bunch of sellouts. That's what we have. Hakeem Jeffries, Eric Adams. These people are just sellouts. This is what you have for the Democratic Party. This is what we have. These people are progressive. Even some of the members of the Progressive Caucus aren't progressive, but they made it in there somehow. This has been a recurring theme where I feel like the Democratic Party has just been moving further and further to the right. Whether it's anti-choice, whether it's anti-workers, we have Democrats voting against the workers now, being strike breakers. We have Democrats supporting anti-choice candidates like Henry Cuellar. Nancy Pelosi and Jim Clyburn supported Henry Cuellar and went down there to help him. I want more people to see this and to wake up to this reality. And I want more people to see it and wake up to it because I want them to realize at the end of the day, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, they're just one corporate party. They don't really care about the people. The Democratic Party is going to tell you that they're for the workers, that they're for a woman's right to choose. But are they?